Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and in today's video, we're going to take a look into the next installment in our Tactics and Strategy series, video number 13. I'm playing in the Hindenburg, the Tier 10 German heavy cruiser, and I'm divisioned up with my friend from MIA, D-Mags. He's playing in the Des Moines, the Tier 10 American heavy cruiser, and we're playing some domination here on the map Trap. So the focus of today's video is how to have an impact on the game when you don't have very many hit points left over, and specifically when you get chunked really hard at the start of a battle. And it just goes around the mindset that you need to have, managing your heals when you don't have very many hit points left, and overall, putting yourself in the right spot to still have a significant impact on the course of the game, whether it turns into a win or a loss. I understand. I will make one disclaimer here. I do have heals. Most cruisers do not, obviously. Tier 9 and 10 cruisers have heals. The Otago at Tier 8 does, and then the British light cruisers do as well. But most of the time when you're in a cruiser and you get citadeled or chunked really hard, you can't get those hit points back. So I understand that that is a caveat. I am well aware of it. But again, this video does show how to manage heals when you don't have very many hit points left. And just, again, how to have an impact on a game. Because you see it so many times where somebody will get chunked at the start of the game and they'll panic and they'll do something really stupid like you're going to see here with me. The lack of situational awareness and the play that I make is absolutely appalling and is not indicative whatsoever of Super Unicum gameplay, which you're accustomed to with my videos. And it's just a startling lack of focus, a startling lack of positioning correctly. And yet I'm still going to have a really good impact on the course of the battle. And that's the biggest thing to take away from this video. So you can see here, Trap, Domination, it's a tricky one. Sometimes going to Alpha is advisable, sometimes going for a CB push is advisable, and honestly, this is one of the few maps in the game where making an AC push is not a bad idea as well. And you can see here I'm moving up towards Objective Charlie. The Hindenburg does have really good range at 17.8 kilometers, so even moving up into the grid square around Echo 5 or Delta 5, I'm still able to shoot well across the way and hit enemy ships as they're trying to move up into the B and the C caps. So this thing has plenty of range, and it has the rate of fire to boot with it. 12 guns, 203 millimeters, and you get an 8.8 second reload with the rate of fire. Now, one thing to note, I do not have Adrenaline Rush, and you're gonna notice that it would probably help me out here quite a bit. We're coming up on my my shining moment right here, where I'm going to walk you through exactly what not to do in this situation. So you can see that the enemy team is making quite a heavy push up towards Charlie. The Kagero on the enemy team is about ready to die. You can see there's a Tashkent, there's a Gearing, there's a Kurfürst, Hindenburg, Zau, Tirpitz. A good portion of them have made their way up here. The Kagero does die. Now what you're going to see here is I'm 16 kilometers away from the Grosse Kurfürst. Tashkent 16 kilometers away. I'm undetected as I shoot my first salvo of the game. Now what you're going to see here, this Hindenburg off to my right on the enemy team is going to take a very massive hit here and get chunked down very considerably early on in this game. You can see he's already down to about 10,000 hit points as he will be using one of his heals. Now what I do instead of turning away immediately, or in retrospect not even shooting at that time, is that I slow down and turn in towards those enemy ships. So now I am the object of the Hindenburg's desire, and shortly here I'm going to be the Tirpitz's and the Grosse Kurfürst's object of desire as well. Now the Hindenburg has one great weakness in its armor design, and that's that it takes citadels at range pretty easily. 20k with a couple more 1,000 points of damage done with the rear turret, and then I continue to open up my broadside. Luckily for me, I don't take too much damage from that, and you can also see Tirpitz shells are coming in as well. I'm already down to 2/5 of my hit points, and 1,483 hit points later, and I am on the brink of death. I panicked. I decided for whatever reason to stop, almost come to a stop, broadside on to the majority of the enemy team up here, taken a ridiculous amount of damage, and then I'm continuing to add insult to injury because I'm still shooting. At this point, I thought, I have 6,000 hit points left. There is no way that I'm going to make it out of this alive. That Kurfürst right now is going for the coup de grace right here, and you can also see the Tirpitz behind me is shooting at me as well. Shells are flying in. Luckily, the Hindenburg does have enough deck armor and belt armor to be able to bounce those shells, which I was able to on one of those that hit me. But I panicked. I was a deer caught in headlights as I do bounce one of the Kurfürst shells. I turned broadside. I slowed down, and German cruisers as a whole are not very fast in the first place, so getting the speed back up is kind of difficult. And then, like I said, I kept on shooting. I take completely unnecessary damage right there. 5,000 more damage taken. I have 1,244 hit points left. All it takes right now is for one overpen from the Kurfürst, and if I'm not mistaken, only one overpen from the Tirpitz to be able to finish me off. I've only done 30,000 points of damage so far. I do go undetected. You can see the Tirpitz did shoot his rear turrets at me. Will I be able to get out of the way? Oh man, oh man, oh man. Just barely managing to bounce that right off the stern section of my ship. And with 14:30 left in the game, as I am undetected, the score is 423 to 337, and I have 1,244 hit points. Now, at this section of the game, well, somebody with this amount of hit points, the average player, in my opinion, would probably just want to get the game over with and go back to board, and would probably, well, see, I am generalizing here. I understand that, but I don't have, I have a slither of my hit points remaining. I am able to heal it. Obviously, German cruisers do take quite a bit of penetrating hits, so you can heal back quite a bit of it, so I'm up to about 10,000 hit points at this moment. But, yeah, the average player would probably have gotten killed right there, simply because they don't know what to do. Luckily, I had enough situational awareness to eventually realize, hey, I need to turn away in this situation, because if I don't, I'm going to be guaranteed death. But so many unnecessary hit points lost right there. And again, you know, even the best players out there, they have these moments where it's just a complete rush of shit to the brain, as Jingles likes to say. And that right there was one of the worst plays that I've made in the past few weeks, if not the past month or so. Just absolutely asinine. However, I've recollected myself, gotten back a little bit of the hit points that I had remaining, and now I'm getting some shots, and if you've noticed, I've been able to do most of these salvos downrange without being detected, because I've put some hard cover in between myself and the battleships that are moving in towards Objective Bravo. Now, the Kurfürst and the Tirpitz are both guaranteed dead at this point. There's no way they're going to be able to get out of there alive. There's no destroyer, if I'm not mistaken, that is going to be able to smoke them up. And I'm just continuing to shoot the high explosive shot at the Kurfürst. Now, of course, as we all know, German heavy cruisers have access to IFHE, or German cruisers in general, and I do manage to take care of that Tier 10 German battleship. Get a little bit of revenge, even though I really don't have many hit points still to work with. I am using my second heal now, but I didn't get spotted really at all throughout any of these salvos, and it's allowed me enough time to be able to use the remaining 2 heals that I've had and be able to get at least a decent amount of my hit points back. And that's something that's really, really important. It's okay if you're on, you know, really low hit points to take a pause, go somewhere where you're not actually taking damage, and, you know, cycle a couple of your heals instead of doing just one. So I went from 1,200 hit points up to 17,000. Now you can see the majority of that damage was citadels, unfortunately. I took at least 2, if not 3. So at this point, I have 17,000 hit points to work with. That's less than a gearing. So there's still 1149 left in the game, and I have to be extremely careful. All it will take is one decent salvo from a battleship that's left over, and I will be dead. Guaranteed. Either the Azuma or the Tirpitz. All they got to do is get one good salvo in. Now you can see here, I am shooting downrange. I did have a nice blind shot right here on the gearing, and I managed to pick up my second kill of the game on that Tier 10 American destroyer. And now I'm getting some shots downrange at the enemy Tashkent, who's 15 kilometers away. A very quick Soviet destroyer, but I should be able to land a couple of shells here as he does turn away. There we go, 825. Now you can see here that the Prinz Eugen, and there's a rune that's down there just off my starboard side, who have been moving slowly, very steadily that is, towards Objective Bravo. So you can see here I still am detected. The rune is 14.5 kilometers away. However, I was able to make the turn so that this rune is not going to be able to get shots on me, as I do go undetected. I've put some hard cover in between me and the island. So ever since I've gotten chucked down to 1,022 or 1,200 hit points, I've yet to take any more damage in return. And it's been quite a few minutes, so I've been able to get a couple kills and deal some decent damage, and I've yet to take a single whack ever since that I just lost, you know, most of my hit points. And right there, that's something that's very, very important. When you do get whacked, you do need to get away, heal up, and not be the focus of anybody's fire, because you're not going to be able to use your heals, and you're not going to be able to live very long if that's the case. Now, I was able to get one shot on the rune before I came out of the island. So I was able to get one shot off undetected. However, I am detected, of course, right here. I did have the armor piercing loaded. Still a decent salvo, 2,500 points of damage. You know, I'm also looking over there at the Zao. He's 16 kilometers away from me, so I wanted to make sure that he is not targeting me. There was somebody that was just targeting me, and I'm trying to figure out who it is, but it's not the Zao. The Tirpitz is too far away at 21.5 kilometers to shoot at me. The Izumo does not have a line of sight on me, so he's not able to get shots at me as well. I'm continuing to shoot downrange at the rune, and now I'm going to try to move in. You can see that the Zao is now completely moving away, so I know that the left side, my left flank, is completely covered. I don't have to worry about getting shot from over there. Now you can see that the Tirpitz is moving back in towards objective Bravo. He was 19.5 kilometers away before he did go undetected. All we got to do right here is kill the enemy Izumo, and we should be A-okay. And I will be able to turn back to the left and get out of dodge. The armor-piercing shells fall in, and I do almost 5,000 points of damage and pick up my third kill of the game, bringing the scores back a little bit. It's 489 to 563 at this point. You can see the friendly Fletcher is in objective Bravo. I am detected, however, but then I do once more go undetected. The Hindenburg has a 12.3 kilometer detectability range. Now you see right there that I waited to shoot at the Prinz Eugen until I've already turned away and am moving in the opposite direction as him. So he wasn't able to get a good shot into my broadside. And you can also see as I continue to turn the left, you can see more shells are flying in on my position just off my starboard side, off the rear quarter of the ship, and those shells do indeed miss. So I have, once more, put myself in a position where it's going to be very difficult for the enemy team to be able to hit me, but I'm still doing some pretty decent damage on that Prinz Eugen. Now right here is his next salvo comes in, is the first time that I've taken damage in quite a few minutes, and you know, take a decent bit, but I do manage to get a Citadel there on that Tier 8 premium German heavy cruiser. I'm up to 93,000 points of damage. However, you can see that the Tirpitz is now appearing off my starboard side at 15.2 kilometers away. Once more, I go undetected. There were 3 ships that were aiming at me, so I do have to be very careful right here. However, you can also, if you didn't notice, there's a smoke screen right in front of me. So what I'm going to try to do is get into that smoke screen and deal some damage here to this enemy Tirpitz. I want to try to keep him away from objective Charlie as much as possible. And now, of course, he is going to be aiming at me because I have so little hit points. And you can see that the counter right there, priority target, is telling me up to 4 dudes were aiming at me. So I got to keep on this course. I do not want to turn back into objective Bravo and have a chance of getting hit. I do take a pretty decent salvo through the butt with some high explosive right there. However, I'm going to let the fire burn for a little bit. More shells going down range. My aim hasn't been terribly good right here on the Tirpitz, but I still am getting some decent armor-piercing salvos onto him. You can see I did use my repair. Now I'm using my very last heal of the game. So when this one is over with, I'm not going to be able to get back any more hit points. So it will be all the more imperative that I do not put myself in a crappy situation. Another shot going down range at the Tirpitz after a 6,700 armor piercing salvo. I'm up to 117,000 points of damage, and I have 15,304 hit point wise to work with. So that's it. I cannot afford to take any massive salvo, and I also have to be very careful with my repair party as well. Get another decent AP salvo on the Tirpitz for 4,500. Now you can see that the Prinz Eugen is 17.8 kilometers away. Now we need to get some kills here because the enemy team is almost at a point where they're going to have a pretty significant lead. They have 2 of the 3 caps, and it's 594 to 692 at this point. So I am going to go for the kill here, the killing blow on the Prinz Eugen. He is turning away. I don't think this salvo is going to register any hits. No, it does 3 ricochets and 1 quote-unquote penetration that doesn't deal any damage. The next salvo is in on the way. Will I be able to get the kill? Yes, sir-wee. Excuse me, I totally jacked that up. Yes, sir-wee. That's what I meant to say. And we also managed to kill the Tirpitz, so that's my 4th kill of the game and 127,000 points of damage dealt so far. And I still have a very nice chunk of hit points to work with, albeit I should have a lot more at this point because I screwed up so bad at the beginning of the game. But we have to pull the scores back, and it's 693 to 630 now. So we do have the lead, and we have a 6-4 ship advantage, which is very nice. You can see the Zao is well off to my port side. However, he has not been able to get any shots into me, which is a very good thing. And now I've also been getting some damage dealt into the enemy Hindenburg, the guy who chunked me down really hard at the beginning. Hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit of revenge here. You can see now that I am turning my turrets to my port side. I am undetected right now, and I want to come around this island once more, kiting away, angled away from that Hindenburg, with him coming into 12 of my guns where he's only able to shoot with his front set of turrets, which accounts to 6 guns. So there we go. I make my turn. He does shoot at the guy that's behind me, and now I am perfectly angled away, kiting away from this guy. You can see the Tashkent is there. One might think to shoot at the Tashkent, but we do have to get rid of this DPM. And a Hindenburg is not going to be confused with a Tashkent when it comes to the DPM. The Hindenburg can rack up a silly amount of damage over time. And obviously, this guy only has 5,400 hit points left, so we do need to get the kill here on this guy. You can also see that the Rune is down in Objective Bravo. He is sitting broadside. I did switch to the armor piercing here really quickly just to try and see if I could punish that guy, and I have since switched back to the high explosive. The enemy Hindenburg is 12.5 kilometers away. We'll see if we can be able to snag the kill here. A decent salvo hit the Rune for 2,500. However, the Hindenburg only has 2,500 hit points left. He did get set on fire, a double fire that is, and I will be able to pick up the kill and secure my Kraken Unleashed. 737 to 706 with 439 left in the game as I burn down that tier 10 German heavy cruiser. And after going to the brink, I've picked up 5 kills thus far at almost 140,000 damage, which is a very respectable game for this ship, regardless of the map and regardless of the enemy team composition. However, this is where the game it gets thrown. And this is where, if I had those hit points to work with earlier in the game, if I wasn't such a potato, that, well, potentially this would be in the bag for us. Let's say I had 35,000 hit points to work with here. Just, you know, enjoy the rest of the replay. Notice what happens for the rest of the replay. But just think about if I had, say, 30,000 hit points, right? So the Rune is now moving into Objective Bravo. He has taken quite a bit of a pummeling. He had 41,000 hit points when he entered. Now, I'm not sure why he's trying to go in there. He's getting focused down by 3 ships. However, there's also a big potato play that, unfortunately, our friendly battleship makes. You can see the Montana is right now in Foxtrot 8, and he has since been moving out. Our friendly Hipper dies, unfortunately, from the Tashkent's fire. You can see the Montana is taking the very, very long route around Objective Bravo. And the reason why this is bad is because we don't have those big guns to be able to delete. There's only 2 cruisers and 1 destroyer left. All that Montana has to do is get, I'd say, within 12 or 13 kilometers, and those 16-inch guns, 12 of them, can pretty much delete anything. The amount of potential damage that those shells do in a single broadside is ridiculous. So why he's taking the long way around, I have no idea. He's also at half health, too. And even against a Zhao, those AP rounds are certainly capable of doing a ridiculous amount of damage to that guy. And you can see it in the chat. I'm putting there, hey man, Montana, get over to B. What are you doing? In retrospect, I probably should have mentioned that earlier. But, you know, I was trying to preserve my hit points as well, and I really wasn't trying to... I guess I really wasn't focusing on what my other teammates were doing at the time. And you can see here the Rune and the enemy Rune are on a suicide engagement here. They're both going to get torped by each other. So we're not going to be able to bring the points back really at all. It's 762 to 858, make that 893. Then the Rune dies, so it's 750 to 846 at this point. It's still a 3-on-2, but unfortunately... because that Montana's not here, he's not able to get shots into that Zhao right now. And he is sitting completely broadside. And he's actually going to have to turn into me as I get detected right here. And I shoot my first salvo at the Zhao now with the armor-piercing shot. Also right here, as I mentioned earlier, I think not having Adrenaline Rush really sucks. I still haven't gotten this guy to 19-point skill-wise, so I don't have access to Adrenaline Rush. And right now, I'd probably be at around a 7-second reload, which is, you know, much, much better than the 8.8 second. And that's where I think I would have been able to win this engagement if I had, you know, Adrenaline Rush kicking in, as I do pick up the Confederate and crack 150,000 points of damage, but also if I had the hit points. Like I mentioned earlier, say I had about 30k hit points to work with. I did use my damage control to put the fire out. I still got about 7,000 hit points left. The Zhao does manage to hit me right in the side and doesn't do very much damage right there, only about 400 or so. The Tashkent is getting chased out of the cap by the Fletcher, who has 4,000 hit points left. However, the Zhao right here is going to be able to get a decent salvo in and knock out one of my turrets, so it takes away a quarter of my potential DPM. The Fletcher is still continuing to shoot at the Tashkent, who is moving away, which I have no idea why. I land a 6k salvo on the Zhao, but unfortunately, he chucks me down to 1,300 hit points left, and yeah, I just don't have the hit points left. Another salvo of IFHE goes in, 3,000 points of damage left, but unfortunately, I kick the bucket right here as I crack 168,000 points of damage, and then unfortunately, the Fletcher somehow completely forgot that the Zhao was there, comes around the corner, shells fly in, and he kicks the bucket as well. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. Unfortunately, a very crushing defeat. 531,000 credits received and 5,600 total EXP. I picked up a Confederate and a Kraken Unleashed with 168,000 points of damage dealt off of 338 shell hits. I started 5 fires and had 1 Citadel. and sent 5 enemy vessels to the bottom of the sea. Taking a look at the team score, 1,514 base EXP on a defeat. And again, it should be noted that I had, 1,400 hit points left over when I got completely obliterated to the point almost at death. And I was still able to have a very significant impact on the course of the game. And like I mentioned earlier, just imagine if I had half of my hit points, let alone 30,000 at that last part of the engagement, I probably would have been able to kill the Zao. We would have been able to take care of business on Objective Bravo and would have been able to win the game. So a very unfortunate game that transpired here, but still a very good one from myself as well. Short of taking that pounding, I really did well in this game, let's be honest. Taking a look at the detailed report, 156,000 done with the main battery and 12,000 done with the fires. And I had around 130,000 damage dealt when I had virtually no hit points left over. And I was only able to get back about a third of my total hit points. Also, damage received, 81,000 taken on a ship that has about 51,300 total. So I was able to get an extra 30k hit points to work with. Again, even though that I played like a complete potato and threw away all my hit points at the beginning. So again, don't be discouraged when you do lose a lot of hit points. Just think about it. Get undetected, get behind some island cover, get in a smoke screen. There's plenty of things that you can do when you do take a lot of damage and still have a positive impact on the game. And I really hope this video showed you guys, when you're down, you're not out. And, with the right mindset and with the right positioning, you can still do pretty well. So if it sounds like I was rambling on a little bit in this video, I pardon for that, but I just really wanted to hammer it home. Games are not over. That's the mindset that you have to have when you want to transform your game from being a good to a really good player and really have those high damage, MVP kind of games. You need to think to yourself that every game is winnable, and you need to go in there with that mindset of, you know what, it doesn't matter what happens to me, I can still have a positive impact on the game. And this certainly was the best example. I use best very lightly here because nobody wants to lose that many hit points at the beginning of a game, but this was a good example of that. So with that being said, the Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very, very much appreciated, and have a great day.